Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and I'm going to call this meeting of the Planning Commission to order. Kevin, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Baber?
Here.
Mr. Hannah?
Here.
Mr. Wazak?
Here.
Mayor Howard?
Present.
Mr. Atkins?
Here.
So we have all members present, and this is a continuation of the original meeting that was held on March 19th. Kevin, you want to give us just a brief overview of this particular case again, please? We have several people here with us this afternoon, and just to bring them up to speed.
Sure. The original meeting, like Mayor said, it was scheduled March 19th. There was a 15-day notice in the Springfield newspaper. 15-day notice of property owners within 300 feet. Packets mailed to the board and letters to the owner were mailed out. A letter has been submitted or was submitted to the commission from Walter and Sherry Atkins for property owner of 307 Coronado Trail. The property owner has requested the property be rezoned from single-family residential to multifamily residential. The ordinance for single-family residential 1142.01, R1 through R4 single-family residential districts are established to intended to be the most restrictive of residential districts. The intent is to provide for the environment of predominantly low-density, one-family detached dwellings along with other residential-related facilities to serve the residents in that district. And the two-family residential district 1143.01, R5, single and two-family residential districts established to be intended to afford a transition of use in existing housing areas by permitting new construction or conversion of existing structures between low-density residential and commercial, office, and higher-density residential thoroughfares and other uses which would affect residential character. They're looking to, once again, rezone that particular property to two-family residential. There is a picture of the house at Coronado. There's the aerial view. And I think we are...
Okay, thanks, Kevin. So we do have some new faces with us this afternoon, and I am going to open up before the commission discusses formally the situation before voting. I will open up for anyone that would like to address the commission. All I ask is that you be recognized, come forward, state your name and your address. Please address your comments to the commission, and we'll give you 3 minutes. So would anybody like to speak?
How you doing, Tim?
I'm good, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm Steve Whitaker. I live at 131 Broadway Road. I've been a resident here for 63 years. I started grade school here, graduated at Greenon. My family, I've got a boy and a daughter. They're both here in the village. They've been here their whole entire life. And I used to ride my bike down to Piles's when he had the barber shop. I don't know what the zoning was back then. I don't know if Charlie had zoning for the barber shop or if it was a deal where he was the fire chief and they allowed him to open that so he didn't have to lock the doors when he got a fire call. But as of now, those are single dwelling homes. I built a house over here on Broadway on a half-acre lot, and it's single family. And I could come in here, it's just me and my wife. I've got 2,500 square feet and a 28 by 30 detached garage. I'm getting up there in age, but it wouldn't hurt me to hire somebody to take the roof off that garage and put a double upstairs. And you're spot zoning. There's apartments plenty around. I have a daughter and I have a son-in-law and I had a grandson. They fell on some times that they needed a place to live. Moved them in our house. I didn't apply for no zoning. It was family. They purchased a home down the street at 270 Broadway. It's on a lot and a half. I could come down here and say, I want to put a garage down here and make it an apartment. I've lived here my whole life. I've enjoyed this town, and I like it the way it is. And when you start changing, you're just opening a whole can of worms for new people coming in. And those people, there's a lot of people that we went to school with that live in West Enon. I mean, in South Enon. And they still live there, and those homes were single family. That house is single family. I'm not sure what the septic tank is, but I worked for Guy Conley. We built a lot of houses in Enon and done a lot of septic tanks. And when I built mine, it's 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It was 1,500-gallon tank required. I don't know what it is, but there's no dry wells going back in Enon. I don't know if you're aware of that. You can recharge them,
Right.
but you can't install a new dry well. That lot's on a very hilly incline. And my boy and my granddaughter and grandson live right across the street. I'm scared all the time now the way these people drive up and down these streets. I've complained many times. I know you probably heard me complaining. And I'm going to worry if there's a drive right there across the street from where my grandkids live that hadn't been a drive for years.
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Would anyone else like to address the commission? Okay.
Ken Jones, 55 Estelle Avenue. I truly believe that that's a single family home. I do not believe it needs to be turned into a multifamily. Just there's no reason. Like Steve said, there is plenty of rental properties in Enon. You start bringing in multifamily in an area that's not meant for that, and then next thing you know, I know they're claiming that family's going to live there, but what's going to happen 10 years from now? Nobody knows. There's no way of knowing that there's going to be family living in there, and my problem is who comes in there next, and my question to all of you guys are, where you live now, think of your neighbor right next to you is going to turn their house into a rental. And how would you like that? I that's really what it boils down to. How would you like to have a rental property come in right next to you? When you bought your home, Mr. Mayor bought his home. He knew he had rental properties next to him. He knew it coming into it. But all of you, if you're not next to a rental property and all of a sudden somebody wants to come in and put a rental property next to you, how would you feel? That's how I want you to vote, is how you really feel if this was coming in next to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else like to address the commission? Okay, seeing no other folks that would like to speak, our typical procedure is I would entertain a motion and a second to approve the rezoning of 307 Coronado Trail from an R2 single family to R5, which would be two family. And if we get that motion and second, then we would begin our formal discussion with the commission.
So moved.
I'll second.
I'm not sure who got that. Chuck? Okay. So we have a motion to approve the rezoning from R2 to R5 and a second. And let's open up for discussion with the commission. So I'm going to start off as the president, and I've thought a lot about this the last couple weeks. I've had some help through the opinion of our village attorney. But first of all, I don't believe that the rezoning for the specific situation that we're talking about would be detrimental to that neighborhood. I just don't think it would be. However, 20 years or 30 years down the road, you could have two different families with multiple residents, with multiple vehicles that could utilize that as a two-family, which could potentially pose a problem. The other thing that I've looked at carefully, again, is the opinion from our village attorney. This rezoning, the potential for it, the request is not part of an overall general plan that has been approved by the village. We don't have a plan in place to integrate into single-family residential neighborhoods two-family dwellings. That is not part of any plan that we have. And with that being said, this would represent spot zoning. Other comments?
Similar to what everybody has mentioned up there already, it's already crossed our minds in the same manner of this, as the house evolves from generation to generation, how this is going to impact the scenario. Also, again, based on the criteria that we have in order to change that, the spot zoning does appear to apply, and I don't think it meets the qualifications to go ahead and be rezoned based off of what legal opinion has been given to us. Thank you.
Other comments?
Yeah, one thing that I think I heard before, it has two separate addresses. Is that correct?
Yep.
So does that maybe mitigate some of the spot zoning issues since there's two separate addresses on two streets for this one property?
The part with the zoning would be how it's used. So the current use is single family, and it would be proposed as a two-family. So the usage is what would be looked at. Good question. Other comments?
Yes. Respectfully, I question the need for rezoning at all.
You're the ones that told me I need to rezone.
No, I didn't.
Yep.
No. Please hear me out. I question the need to rezone, and here's why. I think that legal opinions provided us the fact that it would be spot zoning. So that in and of itself would be a problem. But if you go back to the definitions, right now it's zoned as an R2, I think, right? So looking at the definitions of family, okay, please hear me out. This comes from the codified ordinances of Enon, 1135.02, number 46. Family means a person living alone or two or more persons related by blood, marriage, or adoption, or unrelated persons living together as a single housekeeping unit in a dwelling unit, as distinguished from a group occupying a hotel or motel, fraternity, sorority, or something like that. So what we have is we have a definition of what constitutes a family. So then you say, well, what's a housekeeping unit? Number 58 in under the same definition talks to a housekeeping unit. Means one or more persons living in a dwelling unit who are not a family. So I stipulate, or I would submit to you that if you were to withdraw your request to rezone, then how you constitute your family or your housekeeping unit is entirely up to you. Now, I know, having had 6 daughters, that whenever something happens with one of the daughters and they have to come home, it's not a free ride. We charge them rent. See what I'm saying? While there is a family tie there, it doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be a blood tie. Your family is what you constitute it to be. Your housekeeping unit is what you constitute it to be according to the ordinances that are already written in the definition. I clearly agree that it would be imprudent to rezone to R5. R5 is conflicted. It kind of establishes a district mentality. We want to have a district, which means an area. But then it goes in and says, in the infinite wisdom of our predecessors, it says, well, but there are a lot of old homes. Now, I live in a 57 build house. That's an old home, okay? Clearly, it's a single family dwelling. When they were writing this, they were probably thinking about older homes down in central village that are old, multi stories and stuff like that. So R5 is kind of conflicted. I don't believe personally that your situation constitutes a necessity to rezone. Nor do I feel that you need to request of this body you do in fact rezone.
Okay. Any other comments, questions from the commission?
The only other thing that I had come up in my mind was egress on that lower level. Can we even grant multifamily when the downstairs of the property only has one door and no egress, and no plans shown to us showing egress? So I was wondering if that would play a part as well.
Well, again, from the standpoint of how they constitute their family and their household, it's a non-issue.
Right.
Well, from a rezoning standpoint, any type of modifications would have to go through the county building. So that would fall under the county building code, which it could require.
Can I say something?
Sure, absolutely.
I did reach out to the fire chief on that issue, that question that you had, and he said the same thing. That would have to go through the county there. They would inspect, if it was more commercial, then they would have to have a ingress, egress. But residential would fall under the county building department, and they regulate if they have to have that, so.
So that falls into what we were talking about before.
They would have to submit.
If we rezone, then they'd have to come in and do that extra step.
They'd have to submit their plans, how they're going to remodel that house, whatever. And if the county would require that egress, another door, another way out, other than a window, then they would tell them at that time.
Any other questions? Ma'am, you'd like to come to the podium, please? Thank you.
Do I need to say my address?
You do.
Okay. I'm Sherry Atkins. My address is 7055 Dayton Springfield Road. Enon.
Thank you.
So I just want to be clear when you say that you are arguing that we would not need this rezoning.
That's my opinion. That's for this body to decide.
Okay.
So I'm
So-
questioning whether
Well-
you do in fact need to rezone.
Go ahead.
So if we do go forward with renovating the basement for our son and his wife, and people see them going in and out of what used to be the barber shop door, the other address, we don't want to invest the money in renovating that basement if then people would say they're not supposed to be living in the basement. So if you could just clarify that your interpretation of that would be upheld if people are then upset with our son living in the basement and then we didn't renovate for nothing.
So the question before us today is the rezoning. So my suggestion to you is after this result, whatever this result turns out to be, then you get in touch with our administrator to discuss that second avenue in more clarity.
And just so to be clear, we only wanted to do this in the right way to jump through all the legal hoops we needed to. We were not trying to cause any issues in the community that we also love. And I also went to Greenon, and my dad went to Greenon, and my kids went to Greenon. I love
Understood.
you.
Understood. Thank you. Any more questions or comments?
Just an additional comment with regard to the legal opinion. I don't think that this needs to go to the Board of Zoning Appeal, because in the discussion there, it doesn't look like it would fall under, it would be something that they would want to act on anyway.
Okay.
So
we have a motion to approve the rezoning from R2 to R5. Kevin, call the roll, please.
You might want to clarify the vote. The vote for affirmative would be to allow the,
Yes, so this is a motion to approve the rezoning, and then if we have to do a second motion, that will come after.
Ms. Baber?
Nay.
Mr. Hannah?
no.
Mr. Wozak?
no.
Mayor Howard?
No.
Mr. Atkins?
No.
Now I'd entertain a motion and a second to deny the rezoning request from R2 to R5.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Ms. Baber?
No.
Mr. Hannah?
No.
Mr. Wozak?
No.
Mayor Howard?
This motion, let's clarify this. This motion is to deny the request. To deny the request.
Are we double negative?
To deny the request. This motion is to deny the request to
Gotcha.
rezone.
Very good.
To deny. Since it was the motion to approve did not pass, then we need an affirmative to deny.
I'd like to amend my negative response off of that, please,
I would also.
and vote affirmative.
Recall,
For Wazak too.
just recall the roll again if you would.
Ms. Baber?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
Mr. Wozak?
Yes.
Mayor Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Atkins?
Yes.
One other item of business that I would like to bring up. I think it's time that we look at our zoning regulations as a whole to see what might need to be updated. I know we have several issues kind of going on right now, and to try to clarify things for our residents, make things a little bit easier on our staff. It might not be a bad idea to start looking at folks that do that type of work, Kevin. Maybe see who's out there that could come in and go through our codes and offer some suggestions, work with the staff. We could, the things that need to be changed or the things that keep coming up, number one, or when they do come up, they're not clear. And maybe see what type of services are available. The last time we did it, I believe it was 2006, maybe 7, something like that. And it took almost a year doing it in-house. So I'm thinking that a little bit quicker process might be bringing someone in. So I'm going to task that to you if the members are in agreement with that. And we're probably a few years overdue. So let's see what's out there, see what's available. Any other business?
Yes, just to reaffirm what you mentioned off of that, we find ourselves once again in a quasi, situation that is not the best for anybody in here. We on council and of the board have certain criteria we always have to meet. We also have to use our own judgment on which way to go on many of these things. Sometimes it works in the way that our heart works, oftentimes it does not. So we come up here as a responsibility to you, the voters, and to our citizens to represent you in the best manner we can. We do not take that lightly. Some of the remarks that have been placed on social media about our intentions or about our lack of ability or malfeasance, nonfeasance, whatever you want to call it, it's ridiculous. I take outrage at that because we do try to do our best in here for everyone. There's nobody that comes up here with an agenda. If they are, we would absolutely ask them to abstain from voting. It's as simple as that. We put out as much information as what we can to the people that we can, and in the manner that is dictated. Oftentimes we go above and beyond to try to make sure that people are aware of situations. So for that, I would hope that the word gets out the social media posts that don't denigrate the process itself. Understand that we've got a duty up here that sometimes isn't things that we relish being up here as a decision maker, but it's part of being up here and doing what we're supposed to be doing. So, Mr. and Ms. Adkins, I feel sorry for your situation. I've got a disabled daughter myself. Perhaps a different way to handle this has been recommended. But yeah, it's just a situation where even with the lack of clarity perhaps on the zoning on Fairfield Road, we don't take that lightly. There was a protocol that's there. We followed the protocol. It may not have been exactly what we felt in our heart, but that's what we have to do, respectfully. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Okay, at this time, I'd entertain a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned. And thanks to all of you for coming today. Appreciate your comments.